I just completed a Subliminal Selling Secrets workshop. The presentation turned out to be a memorable experience for everyone. As much as I would like to take credit, it really belongs to one of the best volunteers I've ever encountered. What made it such a great learning experience was that everyone witnessed the volunteer's dramatic change right in front of the class. I asked for a volunteer who had a negative selling experience in their past, an experience that still gives them unpleasant and negative feelings to this very day, an experience they frequently think about, an experience they wish they never had, and wished it could have turned out much differently. Before I got all my words out, a young woman immediately jumped up and came to the front of the class. Her demeanor indicated that she was going to be perfect for this demonstration. I instructed her not to tell us what the experience was. You see, when a volunteer begins speaking about their experience, the audience in turn begins thinking about their own experiences and don't pay attention to what is happening in front of the class. I began by asking her what she recalls about her negative selling experience that gives her those unpleasant negative feelings. What I want to know, what causes these unpleasant negative feelings? Is it something about what you saw? Is it the tone of someone's voice or the way they sounded? Or is it the way someone was touching you? She said that an image comes into her mind, an image of how a customer looked at her. So when you bring this image up in your mind, you begin thinking about this negative selling experience? Her reply was yes. If you bring up that image now, do you get the same negative feelings that you experienced when you had the original experience? She thought a moment and replied yes. I asked her to sit down, to face the audience, to relax and close her eyes. I then asked her to go inside and retrieve that image she had just talked about. As she went inside to access the image, her eye movements under her eyelids and body language were easily followed. I asked her to really take a good look at the image and find out if she still gets the same unpleasant negative feelings when she looks at the image now. She said she did, and that her feelings were as if it were happening right now. I asked her to think about a resource she would have needed back then to have gotten a completely different response from that experience, a response which would have given her a better outcome, an outcome she would have really enjoyed. I explained to her what I meant by resource: more confidence, more assertiveness, any internal resource source you have acquired between the time the event happened and now. I don't know how much time has passed since you experienced that original disappointing selling experience, but during that interval, you've gained resources as a salesperson that you didn't have access to back then. I want you to select a resource that would have enabled you to have had a completely different experience back then. I don't want you to tell me the resource. I just want you to think what this new resource would be. I anchored her new resource as she was thinking about it. What I would like you to do now is to go back to that original experience and relive it. However, this time, I want you to take your new resource with you and see yourself using this new resource and responding in a whole new way. As she began, I fired the anchor for her new resource. In less than a minute, she opened her eyes and said, "I love it. I can't believe it. It's all different." I asked her to go back to the original image and tell me what happens when you see it now. Do you feel the same way you did before? No, I don't. Don't reveal any content. Just tell me how it's different. I can still see the image, but the unpleasant negative feelings aren't there anymore. I then anchored her new approach to the image so she would be able to automatically access her new resource when she comes into contact with a customer. She thanked me, gave me a big hug, and went back to her seat. The audience was thrilled with what they had just witnessed. At the conclusion of the workshop, a participant came up to me and said, "I want you to hypnotize me the way you hypnotized the volunteer during the workshop. I want to be able to use the same resources that she was able to access." I told him, "I don't hypnotize people." My answer didn't satisfy him. He said, "When you asked her to go inside to find the negative selling image, you hypnotized her. I could see the way she was sitting with her eyes closed. You hypnotized her. I want to experience the same thing. I want to make the same changes in my selling career. I want you to hypnotize me so I can do the same things that she did in the workshop. What you saw and heard me do was stimulus response conditioning. And what you saw, you can do yourself. Just follow the steps in the same order that I did with the volunteer. You'll get the same results that she did. Stimulus response conditioning. You can do it yourself. You'll be amazed at the results you'll achieve.